that should be drawn, right? I think the line should be drawn between evidence and conclusion.
Correct.
So if we look at it, see, I have been a history teacher myself for over the years, and the topic today is very
have to see as to how they can view these things, and children have to get support from the school, because they must have studied about wars.
For political upheavals, climate emergencies, and humanitarian crises are no longer distant events that students encounter only through history textbooks. Children are now exposed to global developments in real time through news platforms, social media, and digital conversations. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, schools face a complex question. Should these difficult and often controversial topics have a place in the classroom? Good afternoon and a warm welcome. You're watching Think Tank, presented by My School Admission, powered by Education Today, along with our media partner, Education News Network. I'm your host, Nitya Krishnamurthy, and today's panel discussion focuses on a topic that sits at the intersection of education, citizenship, and responsibility. Should schools talk about war, politics, and global crisis? This is an ongoing debate, with some believing it is the duty of schools to help students understand and critically engage with the world around them, while others argue that such discussions can be sensitive, polarizing, and difficult to navigate in diverse learning environments. As educators strive to prepare students for a complex world, where should the line be drawn? To explore this important question, we've brought together two school leaders who will share their perspectives, experiences, and insights. Through this discussion, we hope to understand better the role schools can play in helping students become informed, thoughtful, and responsible global citizens. Let's begin by welcoming our esteemed panelists. We have Ms. Bhashwati Mukherjee, Principal of Gopalan National School, Bangalore. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
We also have Ms. Lavina D'Souza, Principal of Federal Public School, Bangalore. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you both for joining us today. So to begin our discussion, I'd first like to invite Ms. Bhashwati Mukherjee. Ma'am, when students encounter news about wars, political conflicts, and global crises on their phones every day, can schools afford to remain silent on these issues?
See, today's world, the students have access to a lot of opinionated information in the mobile and in their social media. And they do not know to filter those opinionated information. So indeed, it is the responsibility or moral duty of the schools to come forward and help them to filter those fabricated information. I remember somebody telling once, on a very lighter note, that these information available on the social media are like, tsunamis, washing away all their thinking skills and capacities. So it becomes a very integral part of the school education where we should speak about them. Because we speaking and taking it up in a right manner would always help them to evaluate those information and think critically as to how much to accept, how much to consume, and what is to be, prevented from coming towards their thought process. As a result of which, what happens is school, it becomes very imperative that we give them the evidential based factual context and talk about those things in a way so that they know to take it the way they should process the thinking. It becomes very important. Yeah. And of course, we have to be very careful as to how we are presenting it. As you rightly said that, some feel that this sensitive topic shouldn't be brought up in the school. But I feel, school is a place which caters to the holistic development of a child. And this is a place where rightfully the children are coming to have great knowledge, and later again in college and going forward, things become more diluted and very specific in nature. School is the only place where they can innocently probably question a teacher, and a teacher can answer those questions. So of course we have to respect diversity. We shouldn't be talking about partisan indoctrination. We should not touch upon factionalism, but we should talk about the different problems that the present global scenario is very unpredictable. So we have to ensure that we talk about these things to the children, but of course in a very inclusive environment.
All right. I agree. Yeah. So, Ms. Lavina, coming to you, where do you think schools should draw the line between educating students about current events and influencing their personal beliefs or opinions?
School plays a very important role in helping the students to understand where they stand with all the informations that they receive. Because after COVID especially, everything is on the fingertips. The information, whether the child likes or not, the conversations that they have with the peer group, the family conversations or interactions which they have lot of informations. And so there is a very important role that the school plays is we need to help the child to assess or see what they have to take in and how they react or respond to these, because everything comes just like a flow, and then they have to see as to what is good, what is right, how we go about it, and mainly they have to focus on what is fact based, not just taking things as they hear from somewhere. They need to process the truth, think about it. Maybe as school, as educators, we have an important role to help their thought process, like guiding them to understand what is necessary, what they need to look forward, or how they understand the facts and then respond to them. Especially when there are issues like war, the children need to understand that it is one of the realities that they face every day in life, or in the given phase of life. But then it is up to us as educators to help them to see what are the consequences, how to look at. Instead of solving, we are not in a position to solve certain things, but we need to help them to have to see as to how they can view these things. And children have to get support from the school, because they must have studied about wars, they must have seen about the global crisis, they must have got to know about political involvement, politics, they learn about it. But at the same time, when it happens around them, when they get to know the informations about it, they need to go through it not as something frightening, not something very dangerous, but they have to look at it without any fear, without any biased thing, but face it with the help, with the guidance, with the support from the adults or from the school authority.
So it becomes important for schools to provide guidance with
Yeah.
regard to credible news sources
Yes,
also.
yes, yes.
And because now kids are looking at reels all the time, they're watching
Yes.
videos online.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to help the children to understand that there is the school, there is family, to see to the safety of them, to make sure that things will be fine. In spite of all the disasters or any problems that they see or view on the news channels, we need to give a ray of hope to these children, so that they will look forward they will not look at them with fear.
Right. Yes, ma'am, you'd like
Yeah,
to add to
I
that?
would like to add on two things. See, you spoke about the line that should be drawn. Right, I think the line should be drawn between evidence and conclusion.
Correct.
So, if we look at it, see, I have been a history teacher myself for over the years, and the topic today is very close to me because I have been teaching in the class about war, politics, and betrayal, conspiracies, conquests, and all sort of things. And while doing that, I have seen, what had been my motive while teaching that. The learning objective, which I have always looked at, that the children should be able to utilize this a synthesis of every learning, what is happening in the classroom in another setting. That is right, true education, isn't it? And while doing that, I had to be very careful that I will allow them to create opinion in the class, but I will not draw any conclusion to that opinion. That is exactly where the line has to be drawn. So you talk about it based on factual evidences, based on historical context, based on all the possible things, learning outcomes that you could touch upon. But I will not draw any conclusion. I will just leave it open-ended for a child to decode it on their own, analyze things on their own, and that is what is competency-based education today. What we are talking about. When we are doing a competency-based education in the class, what do? We give them a case study and we ask them to decipher, decode certain answers or certain evidences from that case study. And that's exactly how war should be spoken, or global crisis should be touched upon in the class, wherein you are just going to tell the child that, see, this is what is happening, these are the evidences what we have, this is the fact what is presented. Now it is up to you, you develop an opinion, but a very impartial opinion. Of course, we need to guide them in while developing the opinion. We cannot leave it all to them, because they're too young minds in school. But at the same time, gradually helping them, hand-holding them to understand the crisis at the present scenario is very important.
Right. And in that, on that note, ma'am, in an increasingly diverse classroom, how can educators facilitate discussions on sensitive topics while ensuring that different perspectives are respected?
Right. So, when we are talking about a very sensitive topic in the classroom, first we'll have to set certain norms that we would respect each other here. We would respect each other's opinion over here. We will not bring about a very individualistic perspective. The perspective has to change. The perspective should not be biased perspective. It should not be like a teacher is trying to induce certain perspective on the child or do advocacy of certain situation or a context. When I'm contextualizing certain things, I should also ensure that the child has a say in that. I will only be providing with facts. For example, if I talk about the present war situation, and there've been a lot of discussion. Children did come up to say that, ma'am, this Trump is doing this, Iran is doing this. I said, I'm not going to go into who is doing what and who is at fault, how much is at fault. But we are going to just analyze what's happening. And then you come across, you tell us, how would you like to see the world tomorrow? Because, that's where we need to sensitize the children and touch upon these sensitive topics, I feel.
Correct.
To help the students to understand the problems. At the same time, they need to also see how, analyze, as ma'am said already, analyze the facts. Based on the facts, as educators, we should not be imposing our points, our views. They need to see how, instead of what or who. I think that should be focused upon.
Right.
And discussions, when we have the discussions, we need to have the chance given to all the students, not only a few, but all the students need to raise their, express their points, and then maybe there may be some kind of understanding that they will get from the others sharing too.
Right. And ma'am, many educators worry about age appropriateness.
Yes.
So how can schools introduce complex and sometimes disturbing global events in ways that inform rather than overwhelm students? Because I'm sure some students are more sensitive also than the others. So how do you address this?
I think when we have these discussions, or when we respond to these crises, or whatever the students bring from home, or whatever they get to know informations, everything has to be as per their age. Because a child, when I speak to a child who is in a primary section, and when I talk to a child who is in a high school, there is a difference the way I speak about the same topic, because age matters a lot. So I think when we speak to them related to that particular with that particular angle, we have to talk to them. Maybe whether it is a war, whether it is a global crisis, the level of understanding should be as per their age. And also when we talk to them, instead of me giving a lot of informations based on that, I feel the child's sharing should be taken into consideration, and only what is required, only limited information to be given to the students, so that they are not getting too much information, but overwhelming information, but are able to understand and are felt, they can
The awareness, and
that's
they
what,
should be able
yes.
to process it on their own and form their own opinion.
Correct.
Right. So, Ms. Bhashpati, do you believe avoiding controversial topics limits students' ability to develop critical thinking and media literacy skills?
No, I don't believe that. You know, critical thinking is an integral part of processing a thought, right?
Yeah.
And it is not necessary that the critical thinking has to evolve from a controversial topic only. Critical thinking is very much associated with problem solving. And this problem solving skills can be picked up from any mundane topic as well. So I may give a child a simple simple case study based questions where I am just telling that the child is going to the market and he has forgotten his money bag at home. And how do you think the child is going to buy the vegetables, because it is very difficult for him to go back to home and pick the money and all that. So let the child do a little bit of a problem solving. So sensitive topics becomes very difficult to, probably put across to the students only when we start advocating about certain context and certain situation very strongly, when we become very opinionated and we start fabricating things in the classroom as a teacher, and I don't take care of the child and the child's perspective, then I may be inducing a lot of making the situation very sensitive. But when I speak about those things based on historical facts, based on the evidences available, based on how things, we'll have to understand. See, we are teachers. We are teaching children of age groups, say, right from 10-year-older to 15-year-older, where we can initiate these discussions. So when we are, as ma'am said, that when we are talking to the children, we must touch upon the things age appropriate. So when I'm talking, I will not take the matter to that sensitive point where the child will feel very overwhelmed or, will not be able to accept it the way I'm expecting the child to accept. So as a teacher, I'm the moderator. I'm no longer the sage on the stage. I'm just the guide by the side, isn't it?
Right. So, ma'am, you earlier said that you don't, as an educator, you don't give your opinion. You leave it to the child to form their opinion. So on that note, I wanted to ask, how do you deal with a situation when a student asks you, why is this war happening, or who is right in this conflict? In that moment, how do you deal with it?
Very true. What I believe is the child should know more than the what, the who and how and when. So, and how do you help the child to come to that who, how and when? Just by asking questions. I'm such a teacher, probably I don't answer questions, but I ask them more. And I develop my concepts based on what they're answering, because that exactly where I said that I'm the guide by the side. I'm a facilitator in the classroom. I allow them into group activities. So let them discuss, come out with their opinion. I write them on the board, and then ultimately I say, okay, so as per you believe it is this. Of course, when I'm teaching Hitler or French Revolution or maybe the Indian Revolution, the freedom struggle for thing, and especially when we are teaching Gandhi. So when I'm doing all of that thing, a lot of questions these days come up. Children are very intelligent. They have, as I said, they have a lot of information. They're humongous information they have. They're very overload. Absolutely. And my job is here to transform this information into wisdom. That's all I can do. If I start behaving like them, then what is the difference between my wisdom and their wisdom? So I see that in a very subtle manner, I channelize their intellect into a wisdom which they would remember. Okay, ma'am said. So I said in my classroom there will be no diverse talk, there will be no partisan indoctrination, there will be no such kind of discussions which will lead to, which will touch upon the religious sentiments of people, because I'm a history teacher and I am extra over careful about all those things. Yes, we will not do that, but we will look at things from a general perspective, and whatever opinion we love to develop, we will develop it, but then we will also vet it with the right evidence. Right. That is how
That's
I look at it.
Extremely important, yes. And Ms. Lavina, we spoke about overwhelming the child with too much information. So based on that, should every global crisis become a classroom conversation, or do you think schools should be selective about which issues they address?
Since the child gets to know about most of the things, maybe we could address these issues. But at the same time, how much, to what extent, depends on the school. As we as educators need to think what is relevant for the child to know, and how much information we can give to the students. Based on that, we can take up certain concern or take up certain issues and discuss on the same with the students and help them to come to certain understanding, which would be of much use for them for the life ahead of them. I know they are students, but they are our citizens for the future. Indian citizens or wherever they are, they need to take up life in this world with all these positive or the painful or difficult situations. So they get some kind of training, so to say, by getting in touch with these issues that are happening all over the world or globally, and then maybe what they touch upon should help them for the future to be responsible citizens.
So finally, Ms. Bhashwati, I'd like to ask, what do you think is more dangerous today, exposing students to complex global issues or leaving them to navigate these issues alone online?
It is very dangerous to allow them to navigate these issues online all by themselves. Because, you know, as I'm always telling, I don't know what is the source of those information as a teacher. As I don't know what is the source of those information, I cannot vet those information and tell my children that, yes, what you have heard or what you have learned, it is coming from a very authentic source. So it is very important that, you know, we shield the entire thing through academics. Academics is a very protective cover, whatever said and done. You know, we cannot make academics exclusive of all the information, social media, whatever it is. If you are not educated enough, you will never learn to vet or, you know, kind of evaluate those fabricated information that you are getting. So I believe that hand-holding children in the school at every stage is very important. If we leave the child, whichever age, today I cannot say, okay, small child, so I'm going to shield her or him from this information, and a protective layer is very important for them when they're growing up. It's very wrong concept, because every child right from the age of 5 or even lower till the age of 50 are addicted to the mobile phones, including me also sometimes.
Yes, we're all guilty of that. Yeah.
So what happens is, it is better to bring up a child with a good awareness, you know, rather than protecting the child from all of those things.
Right.
So I feel, yes, we should touch upon those things and we should talk about it. But as again and again I'm telling, with facts, with evidence, and without any kind of a support or a context, advocating for a particular support or a context.
And as educators, is there any kind of support you'd like from parents in this regard that you'd like to talk about?
Yes, of course. The parents should not interfere between the teacher and the student. That's something which would be my appeal to the parents.
Okay.
Because we know what we are telling. We
Yeah.
know how much is important for our children in the school. And we want to bring them up with a true care, true support, and we want to see them when they're stepping out of their alma mater, they're all ready for the future world. And we do not know what the future world is bringing for them. They are owning a world which is so unpredictable, where there is going to be humanitarian crisis, environmental challenges, global issues, war, and I really don't know. I am really worried about the present upcoming generation. So they have to be very strong. They should know mentally very strong, resilient, understand what's going to happen and how they're going to combat it. You know, and that's the reason, as educationists, it is very important that we bring up children by making them very aware of this world.
Yeah, awareness, inculcating awareness is extremely important.
Extremely important, yes.
Yes.
So my only message to the children and the parents and to the other teachers and schools and educationists would be that allow the children to understand between the right and the wrong, give supporting evidence, help them to be factual enough when they are evaluating a statement made in the social media, and make them understand that the source of information may not be authentic, because this is not covered by professional journalists. We don't even know from where they are coming, what is their training, and how they are looking at things. They are just in a rage to do so. We have to make them understand that they are in a rage to do vlogging, and they are all into getting the followers and also all those things what you all say. But the things which the journalists cover, they are in the situation, they're on the spot, and they're covering with a proper training. That's why it is always better to read the newspaper, always better to get into if at all they would like to discuss, it is better for them to get into the source of it and then create an opinion, rather than going through the social media or reels, which is rather making a complete khichdi of emotions, frankly.
Right. So that's why we're discussing today's topic, because I think schools should absolutely not shy away from discussing all of this.
Not
Yeah.
at all.
Because that sense of awareness has to develop early in kids. And that sets it for lifelong
true.
learning.
Very
Right?
true.
And identifying the credible sources, like you
Correct,
said.
correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your thoughtful perspectives. On that note, we conclude today's discussion. A big thank you to both our panelists for sharing such valuable insights today. The main takeaway from this discussion is that the question is not simply whether schools should talk about war, politics, and global crisis, but how they can do so responsibly, thoughtfully, and with sensitivity. In a world where information is immediate and opinions are everywhere, schools have an opportunity to help students develop the skills to question, analyze, empathize, and engage constructively with complex issues. At the same time, educators must navigate these conversations carefully, creating spaces that encourage understanding rather than division. The real challenge does not lie in shielding students from difficult realities, but in equipping them with the knowledge, perspective, and critical thinking needed to make sense of them. Thank you for watching Think Tank, presented by My School Admission, powered by Education Today, with our media partner Education News Network. Until next time, this is Nitya Krishnamurthy signing off.